In the last episode, humanity teetered on the brink of collapse, ravaged by environmental disaster and societal chaos. The once blue skies were now a hazy gray, and the air reeked of smoke and desperation. The few remaining cities were mere shadows of their former selves, with crumbling skyscrapers and rubble-strewn streets. As I stood atop the ruins of a skyscraper, gazing out at the desolate wasteland, a sense of despair washed over me. The world I knew was gone, and with it, the future ID once taken for granted. My name is Ambrose Wynter, and ID built a reputation as a brilliant and charismatic entrepreneur. But even my optimism and determination seemed feeble in the face of such overwhelming devastation. That's when I saw a glimmer of hope on the horizon, a chance to forge a new path, to bring about change, and to reclaim our place among the stars. I recalled the words of my mentor, the great scientist, Dr. Ilara Vex. The greatest discoveries often lie at the intersection of desperation and innovation. Her words had inspired me to take a risk, to seek out unlikely alliances with the marginalized species that inhabited the ruins of our world. My thoughts were interrupted by the sound of footsteps behind me. I turned to see my trusted friend and ally, Captain Jackson Lee, approaching me with a look of determination etched on his face. "Ambrose, we've received a message from the Chirene," he said, his voice low and urgent. "They're willing to meet with us to discuss a potential alliance." The Chirene, an ancient and reclusive species rumored to possess technology beyond our wildest dreams. This could be the break we needed, the key to unlocking a brighter future for humanity. I nodded, a spark of excitement igniting within me. "Let's go," I said, turning to face the unknown. As we descended into the ruins, the air grew thick with anticipation. We navigated through the rubble-strewn streets, our footsteps echoing off the walls. The Chirene's envoy, an enigmatic figure shrouded in shadows, awaited us in a makeshift chamber deep within the heart of the city. The envoy's eyes gleamed with an otherworldly intensity as he spoke, his voice like a gentle breeze on a summer's day. "We have watched your species for some time, Ambrose Wynter. We have seen your potential, and we are willing to offer you a gift: access to our technology and a chance to reclaim your place among the stars." I felt a shiver run down my spine as I considered the offer. This was it, the moment that could change the course of human history. "What do you ask in return?" I asked, my voice steady. The envoy's smile was enigmatic. "We ask that you prove your worth, that you demonstrate your capacity for leadership and your commitment to the greater good." I nodded, a sense of determination burning within me. I knew that this was just the beginning, that the road ahead would be fraught with challenges and uncertainties. But I was ready, for I had a vision of a brighter future, one where humanity could thrive, and where our name would become synonymous with hope. As I left the meeting with the Chirene, I couldn't shake the feeling that I was being watched, that there were those who sought to undermine our progress, to claim the rewards of our discoveries for themselves. The city streets seemed to darken, as if the shadows themselves were coalescing into a palpable threat. I quickened my pace, my senses on high alert. Jackson fell into step beside me, his hand resting on the grip of his blaster. "You feel it too, don't you?" he asked, his voice low. I nodded, my eyes scanning the rooftops. "We need to be careful. There are those who will stop at nothing to claim our place in the sun." The city seemed to stretch out before us like a labyrinth, full of hidden dangers and secret agendas. But I was undaunted, for I knew that I had a role to play in shaping the destiny of humanity. As we walked, the stars began to twinkle in the night sky, a celestial map guiding us toward a future filled with promise and peril. I felt a sense of excitement building within me, a sense of purpose that drove me forward. Little did I know, the challenges ahead would test my resolve, my cunning, and my charisma. The fate of humanity hung in the balance, and I was about to become its unlikely champion. The night air seemed to vibrate with tension as I gazed out at the stars, a sense of wonder and trepidation building within me. I knew that I stood at the threshold of a great adventure, one that would take me to the farthest reaches of the galaxy and back again. The journey began, and I was ready. For I was Ambrose Wynter, and I would not falter. As I walked, the city gave way to a sprawling metropolis, a hub of activity that seemed to pulse with energy. The streets were filled with people from all walks of life, each with their own story, their own struggles, and their own dreams. I moved through the crowds, a sense of purpose driving me forward. I knew that I had a role to play in shaping the destiny of this new world, and I was determined to seize it with both hands. The buildings seemed to loom above me, towering structures that seemed to touch the sky. The air was thick with the hum of technology and the chatter of pedestrians. I felt a sense of awe building within me, a sense of wonder at the sheer scale of this new world. And yet, I knew that there was still so much to learn, so much to discover. The city seemed to stretch on forever, a labyrinth of streets and alleyways that seemed to shift and twist like a living thing. I navigated its streets with ease, my senses on high alert as I sought out the next piece of the puzzle. The journey was just beginning, and I was ready. For I was Ambrose Wynter, and I would not falter. But little did I know, a shadowy figure watched me from the shadows, their eyes cold and calculating. They had their own agenda, their own plans for the future of humanity. And as I walked, oblivious to the danger lurking in the shadows, they began to move, their footsteps echoing through the night, a sinister plot unfolding like a dark and deadly flower. The city seemed to darken, as if the very shadows themselves were coalescing into a palpable threat. I felt a shiver run down my spine, a sense of foreboding that I couldn't shake. And then, just as I was starting to feel like I was getting close to something, everything changed. The world seemed to tilt on its axis, and I was left stumbling through the darkness, unsure of what lay ahead. But I refused to give up. I refused to falter. For I was Ambrose Wynter, and I would not be defeated. The darkness seemed to close in around me, a suffocating shroud that threatened to consume me whole. But I fought back, my determination and my willpower burning like a beacon in the night. And then, just as suddenly as it had begun, everything went black. I slowly opened my eyes, groggily taking in my surroundings. I was in a dimly lit room, the air thick with the scent of smoke and ash. I tried to sit up, but a wave of dizziness washed over me, forcing me back onto the cool, metallic surface. As my vision cleared, I saw a figure standing over me, their features obscured by the shadows. I tried to speak, but my voice was hoarse and barely audible. The figure leaned in closer, their features slowly coming into focus. It was a woman, her skin a deep, burnished purple, her eyes an unsettling shade of indigo. "Who are you?" I croaked, my throat parched and dry. The woman's smile was enigmatic. "I am Lyra Zorvath, a member of the Chirenae's inner circle. You, Ambrose Wynter, are a curiosity, a human with a unique potential." I struggled to sit up, my head spinning with questions. "What do you want from me? Where am I?" Lyra's eyes seemed to bore into my soul. "You are in a Chirenae facility located on the outskirts of the city. As for what I want from you, that is a conversation for another time. For now, you must rest. You have a long journey ahead of you." I felt a wave of fatigue wash over me, my eyelids growing heavy. I tried to fight it, but it was no use. The darkness closed in around me once more, and I slipped into unconsciousness. When I awoke, I was alone in the room. The door slid open with a soft hiss, revealing a long, sterile corridor. I stumbled to my feet, my head pounding with a dull ache. I made my way down the corridor, my senses on high alert. The facility was a labyrinth of twisting corridors and dark, secretive rooms. I knew I had to find a way out, but where was I going? As I turned a corner, I saw a figure waiting for me. It was Jackson, his face set in a grim mask. "Ambrose, we have to get out of here." Now he growled, his blaster at the ready. I nodded, a sense of determination burning within me. I knew that I had to escape, to uncover the secrets that Lyra and the Chirenae were hiding. Together, we moved through the corridors, avoiding the Chirenae guards with ease. We finally reached the exit, a massive, reinforced door that slid open with a hiss. The night air hit me like a slap in the face, the stars twinkling like diamonds in the dark sky. I took a deep breath, my mind racing with possibilities. We need to get back to the city, I said, my voice firm. We need to regroup, to figure out what's going on. Jackson nodded, his eyes scanning the horizon. Agreed. But Ambrose, there's something you need to know. Lyra Zorvath. She's not what she seems. She has her own agenda, and it's not in our best interests. I felt a shiver run down my spine, a sense of unease growing within me. I knew that I had to be careful to navigate the treacherous landscape of alien politics and hidden agendas. But I was Ambrose Wynter, and I would not falter. I would uncover the truth, no matter the cost. As we made our way back to the city, the silence between us was palpable. Jackson's words kept echoing in my mind, fueling my determination to unravel the mystery surrounding Lyra and the Chirinae. We reached the city's outskirts, the neon lights of the towering skyscrapers casting an eerie glow over the desolate streets. I knew that I had to reach out to my allies, to gather my forces and prepare for the unknown. We made our way to the old clock tower, a relic of a bygone era that now served as a secret rendezvous point for my loyal followers. As we climbed the creaky stairs, the sound of whispers and muffled conversations grew louder. I pushed open the door and a sea of faces turned to greet me. Archaea, the enigmatic leader of the Scaracian clans, stood tall, her piercing green eyes fixed on mine. Beside her, the gentle giant, Kale, his massive frame radiating an aura of calm. Ambrose, Archaea said, her voice low and urgent. We've received disturbing reports from our scouts. The Chirinae are mobilizing their forces, preparing for an all-out assault on human settlements. I felt a surge of adrenaline coursing through my veins. This was it, the moment of truth. I knew that I had to make a stand, to rally my people and face the Chirinae head-on. Archaea, Kale, I need you to gather our forces, to prepare for battle. We'll need to evacuate the human settlements to get them to safety. Archaea nodded, her face set in a determined mask. It's done, Ambrose. Our scouts are already in place, guiding the refugees to safety. I turned to Jackson, his eyes locked on mine. Jackson, I need you to hack into the Chirinae's mainframe to gather as much intel as possible. We need to know their plan, their weaknesses. Jackson nodded, a hint of a smile on his lips. I'm on it. Ambrose, I'll get you the information you need. As I looked around the room, I knew that this was the beginning of the end game. The Chirinae thought they could take us down, but I had a surprise waiting for them. I took a deep breath, my heart pounding in my chest. It was time to put my plan into action, to unleash my counterattack against the Chirinae. Let's get to work, I said, my voice steady. We have a war to win. The room erupted into a flurry of activity, my allies dispersing to their assigned tasks. I watched them go, my mind racing with the possibilities. And then I saw her, Lyra Zorvath, standing in the shadows, her indigo eyes fixed on mine. I knew that this was the moment of truth. The game was afoot, and I was ready to play. Lyra's presence sent a shiver down my spine as our eyes locked in a silent understanding. I knew she was here to reveal more about the Chirinae's plans, but I also sensed a deeper purpose behind her sudden appearance. What do you want, Lyra? I asked, my voice even though my heart was racing with anticipation. I've come to warn you, Ambrose, she replied, her voice low and mysterious. The Chirinae are not what they seem. They have an agenda, one that goes far beyond mere conquest. I narrowed my eyes, intrigued. What do you mean? Lyra stepped forward, her slender form radiating an air of confidence. The Chirinae are seeking to harness the power of the ancient artifacts to bend the fabric of reality to their will. They believe that with this power, they can reshape the galaxy in their image. My mind raced with the implications. If the Chirinae succeeded, they would become unstoppable, their domination unchallenged for centuries to come. How do I stop them? I asked, my determination hardening into resolve. Lyra's gaze seemed to bore into my soul. You must find the artifacts before they do. It's the only way to prevent catastrophe. I nodded, the weight of the challenge settling upon me. I knew that this would be no easy task, but I was ready to face it head-on. I'll need your help, Lyra, I said, my voice steady. Together we can uncover the secrets of the artifacts and stop the Chirinae. For a moment, Lyra's expression remained unreadable. Then, a hint of a smile played on her lips and she nodded. "I'm with you. Ambrose," she said. "Together, we'll change the course of history." As Lyra's words hung in the air, I felt a surge of energy coursing through the room. My allies, sensing the shift in the balance of power, turned to me with renewed determination. With Lyra by my side, I knew that we could achieve the impossible. We would stop the Chirene, no matter the cost. "Let's get to work," I said, my voice echoing through the clock tower. "We have artifacts to find and a galaxy to save." The room erupted into a frenzy of activity, my allies dispersing to their tasks with renewed purpose. I watched them go, my heart pounding in my chest as Lyra stepped closer, her eyes locked on mine. The game was afoot and I was ready to play. But little did I know, the stakes would be higher than I ever imagined, and the fate of the galaxy would hang precariously in the balance. As Lyra's words hung in the air, the clock tower began to hum with activity, my allies scrambling to gather resources, decode ancient texts, and prepare for the perilous journey ahead. I watched them with a sense of pride, knowing that each one of them was willing to risk their life to save humanity from the brink of collapse. But amidst the chaos, my attention remained fixed on Lyra. Her presence was like a magnet, drawing me in with an otherworldly allure. I sensed that she was hiding secrets, that her motives went beyond mere loyalty to our cause. "What do you know about the artifacts, Lyra?" I asked, my voice low and urgent. She hesitated, her gaze darting around the room as if searching for an escape route. "I've seen them, Ambrose," she whispered. "I've seen the power they hold." I leaned in, my heart racing with anticipation. "Tell me more." Lyra's eyes locked onto mine, her pupils dilating as she spoke. "The artifacts are ancient relics forged from the very fabric of the universe. They hold the power to bend time and space, to warp reality to one's will." I felt a shiver run down my spine as I envisioned the implications. With such power, humanity could reclaim its rightful place among the stars, or we could succumb to the same darkness that had driven the Chirene to madness. "How do we find them?" I pressed, my determination hardening into resolve. Lyra's gaze faltered, her voice barely audible. "I know of one, hidden deep within the Chirene's stronghold. But we'll need to navigate treacherous alliances and deadly traps to reach it." I nodded, my mind racing with strategies and contingency plans. "Gather a team, Lyra. We leave at dawn." As the night wore on, the clock tower became a hub of frantic activity, my allies scrambling to prepare for the perilous journey ahead. I watched them, my heart swelling with pride, knowing that each one of them was willing to risk everything to save humanity. But as I turned to Lyra, I saw a flicker of doubt in her eyes, a hint of uncertainty that sent a shiver down my spine. What secrets was she hiding, and what lay hidden beneath the surface of her enigmatic smile? The fate of the galaxy hung precariously in the balance, and I knew that I had to trust Lyra, no matter the cost. But as I gazed into her eyes, I couldn't shake the feeling that I was walking into a trap, one that would change the course of history forever. As the night wore on, the clock tower's hum of activity grew louder, the air thickening with anticipation. Lyra vanished into the shadows, leaving me to wonder about the secrets she kept hidden. I pushed aside my doubts, focusing on the task at hand. "Gather around, everyone," I called out, my voice carrying across the room. "We need to discuss our plan of attack." My allies converged, their faces set with determination. Kale, the burly tech expert, cracked his knuckles, a hint of a smile on his face. Ilara, the soft-spoken linguist, nodded quietly, her eyes fixed on me. Ren, the hot-headed pilot, flexed his muscles, his jaw clenched in anticipation. "Lyra, how much do we know about the stronghold's layout?" I asked, my gaze snapping to hers as she re-emerged from the shadows. "Enough to get us in, but not enough to get us out," she replied, her voice laced with a hint of warning. "We'll need to be quick and precise." I nodded, my mind racing with strategies. "Kale, can you hack into their security systems? Ilara, how's our translation matrix coming along? Ren, can you prep the ship for a stealth insertion?" As they dispersed to their tasks, I caught Lyra's gaze, a silent understanding passing between us. We were in this together for better or for worse. The hours ticked by, each one a countdown to dawn. I paced the room, my nerves coiling tighter with every passing minute. What lay hidden within the Chirene's stronghold? What secrets would we uncover? As the first light of dawn crept over the horizon, I called out to my team. "Ready, everyone. Let's move out." With Lyra by my side, we descended into the darkness, our footsteps echoing through the deserted streets. The fate of humanity hung in the balance, and I knew that I had to trust Lyra, no matter the cost. As we approached the Chirene's stronghold, a sickening feeling gnawed at my gut. Something was off, something that I couldn't quite put my finger on. I pushed aside my doubts, focusing on the task at hand. We slipped into the shadows, Lyra leading the way. The air grew thick with tension as we navigated the treacherous corridors, avoiding deadly traps and hidden guards. Suddenly, Lyra halted, her eyes fixed on a hidden panel. "This is it," she whispered. "The artifact is hidden within." I nodded, my heart pounding in my chest. This was it, the moment of truth. With a soft hiss, the panel slid open, revealing a dimly lit chamber. The artifact lay on a pedestal, pulsing with an otherworldly energy. I felt a shiver run down my spine as I reached for it, my hand closing around its cold, metallic surface. A burst of light illuminated the chamber, and I felt myself being pulled through time and space. The world around me blurred, and I stumbled, the artifact slipping from my grasp. As the light faded, I found myself standing in a desolate wasteland, the artifact nowhere in sight. Lyra stood beside me, her eyes blazing with an unnatural intensity. "What have we done?" I whispered, horror creeping up my spine. Lyra's smile was a cold, calculated thing. "We've unleashed the power of the universe, Ambrose, and with it our destiny." I felt a chill run down my spine as I gazed into her eyes. What secrets had she been hiding, and what lay hidden beneath the surface of her enigmatic smile? The fate of humanity hung precariously in the balance, and I knew that I had to trust Lyra, no matter the cost. But as I gazed into her eyes, I couldn't shake the feeling that I was walking into a trap, one that would change the course of history forever. The wasteland stretched out before us, a barren expanse of twisted rock and withered vegetation. The air reeked of ozone and smoke, acrid and bitter. I felt a sense of unease creeping up my spine as Lyra's gaze locked onto mine, her eyes burning with an unnatural intensity. "What do you mean, Lyra?" I asked, my voice low and cautious. "What have we unleashed?" Lyra's smile grew wider, her eyes glinting with a feral light. "The artifact was a key, Ambrose, a key to unlock the secrets of the universe, and with it, our true potential." I felt a shiver run down my spine as I gazed into her eyes. There was something unsettling about her words, something that hinted at a deeper, darker purpose. "What do you mean, our true potential?" I pressed, my instincts screaming at me to be cautious. Lyra's laughter was a low, husky thing, sending shivers down my spine. "We've been bound by the limitations of our humanity for too long, Ambrose. It's time for us to evolve, to transcend our petty squabbles and become something more." I felt a growing sense of unease as I gazed into her eyes, a sense of foreboding that threatened to consume me. What did she mean exactly? What kind of evolution was she talking about? As I gazed into her eyes, I saw something there that chilled me to the bone. A madness, a fervor, a conviction that bordered on fanaticism. "Lyra, what have you done?" I whispered, my voice barely audible. Lyra's smile grew wider, her eyes blazing with an unnatural intensity. "I've given us a gift, Ambrose, a gift of power, of knowledge, of transcendence, and with it, well, reshaped the universe in our image." I felt a chill run down my spine as I gazed into her eyes, a sense of horror creeping up my spine. What had I unleashed exactly? What kind of power had we tapped into? As I gazed into Lyra's eyes, I knew that I had to get out of there, to escape the wasteland and get back to the safety of my empire. But as I turned to leave, Lyra's hand closed around my arm, her grip like a vice. "No, Ambrose," she whispered, her voice low and menacing. "You can't leave now. We've only just begun." I felt a sense of panic rising up inside me as I gazed into her eyes, a sense of desperation that threatened to consume me. I knew that I had to get away to escape the madness that seemed to be consuming Lyra. But as I struggled to free myself, I realized that it was too late. The wasteland seemed to be shifting, the rocks and sand swirling around us like a vortex. I felt myself being pulled into the heart of the vortex, Lyra's laughter echoing in my ears as the world around me dissolved into chaos. The rocks and sand churned around us, a maddening whirlwind that threatened to consume us whole. I felt myself being pulled deeper, Lyra's grip on my arm unyielding as we were sucked into the heart of the vortex. I tried to shout, to scream, to fight against the inexorable force that was dragging me under, but my voice was lost in the howling wind. The air was thick with electricity, the ozone tang sharp in my nostrils as the world around me disintegrated into a kaleidoscope of color and sound. I glimpsed fragments of images, shards of memories that weren't my own, ancient cities crumbling into dust, stars exploding in a fiery blaze, civilizations rising and falling like the tides of an endless sea. The visions assaulted me, a barrage of sensory input that threatened to shatter my mind. And yet, through it all, Lyra's laughter echoed in my ears, a maddening cadence that seemed to synchronize with the beat of my heart. I felt myself being pulled into her orbit, drawn into a realm where the boundaries between reality and madness blurred into a hazy, crimson-tinted fog. As the vortex dissipated, I stumbled, disoriented, into a realm that was both familiar and alien. The air was thick with an otherworldly energy, a vibrational frequency that hummed like a bass note in the pit of my stomach. Lyra stood before me, her eyes blazing with an intense, almost sexual energy. Her skin seemed to glow with a soft, ethereal light, as if she had tapped into a power that was beyond human comprehension. "Ambrose," she whispered, her voice husky, hypnotic. "Welcome to the next level of evolution." I felt a shiver run down my spine as I gazed into her eyes, a sense of trepidation that threatened to overwhelm me. What had she become? What kind of power had she tapped into? As I gazed into her eyes, I saw a reflection of myself, a shadowy duplicate that seemed to loom over me like a specter. It was a version of me that was stronger, more powerful, more ruthless, a version that would stop at nothing to claim its rightful place among the stars. And in that moment, I knew that I was staring into the face of my own destiny. The reflection in Lyra's eyes seemed to grow more defined, its features sharpening into a visage that was both familiar and yet utterly alien. I felt a sense of disquiet, a creeping unease that threatened to undermine my confidence. "What have you done, Lyra?" I whispered, my voice barely audible over the thrumming energy that pulsed through the air. Her smile was enigmatic, her eyes glinting with a knowing intensity. "I've transcended the limitations of human biology," she whispered. "I've tapped into the raw power of the universe." As she spoke, her form seemed to shift, her body blurring into a kaleidoscope of colors and patterns. I felt my mind reeling, struggling to comprehend the implications of what I was witnessing. You're not human anymore," I stammered, my words barely coherent. Lyra's laughter was low, husky, and utterly mesmerizing. "I'm more than human," she whispered. "I'm the harbinger of a new era. And you, Ambrose, are the key to unlocking its secrets." I felt a shiver run down my spine as I gazed into her eyes. The reflection of myself that stared back at me seemed to grow more pronounced, its features etched with an unsettling clarity. "What do you mean?" I whispered, my voice barely audible over the thrumming energy. Lyra's smile was a promise of secrets and revelation. "Come with me, Ambrose," she whispered. "Let me show you the true extent of our potential." With those words, she reached out and took my hand, her touch sending a jolt of electricity through my entire being. I felt myself being drawn into a realm that was both exhilarating and terrifying, a realm where the boundaries between humanity and something greater blurred into a hazy, crimson-tinted fog. As we walked, the landscape around us shifted and flowed like a liquid, the very fabric of reality seeming to bend and warp to Lyra's will. I felt my mind reeling, struggling to comprehend the sheer scope of her power. And yet, despite the trepidation that threatened to overwhelm me, I knew that I couldn't turn back. I had to see this through, had to uncover the secrets that Lyra promised to reveal. For in that moment, I knew that I was staring into the face of a revolution that would change the course of human history forever. The air seemed to vibrate with an otherworldly energy as Lyra led me through the shimmering veil that surrounded us. I felt like I was walking through a dream, the landscape unfolding like a tapestry woven from threads of starlight and shadow. With every step, the world around us transformed, cities and forests and oceans blurring into a kaleidoscope of colors and patterns. I saw glimpses of civilizations long forgotten, ancient technologies that defied understanding, and mysteries that lurked just beyond the edge of comprehension. Lyra's hand in mine was like a lifeline, a thread that anchored me to reality as the universe unfolded its secrets before me. I felt my mind expanding, stretching to encompass the enormity of what I was witnessing. We walked for what felt like hours, the journey blurring into a haze of wonder and awe. And yet, despite the thrill of discovery, I couldn't shake the feeling that Lyra was leading me deeper into a labyrinth of her own design. "What are we searching for?" I asked, my voice barely above a whisper. Lyra's smile was enigmatic, her eyes glinting with a knowing intensity. "The source of our power," she whispered, "the key to unlocking our true potential." As she spoke, the landscape around us shifted, the colors and patterns coalescing into a gleaming spire that pierced the sky like a shard of crystal. The air seemed to hum with energy, the spire pulsing like a heartbeat that synchronized with my own. "This is it," Lyra whispered, her voice barely audible over the thrumming power. "This is the source of our strength." I felt a shiver run down my spine as I gazed upon the spire. It was as if I was staring into the face of creation itself, the secrets of the universe laid bare before me. And yet, despite the sense of wonder that threatened to overwhelm me, I knew that I couldn't let my guard down. There was something about Lyra's words, something about the way she looked at me that hinted at a deeper purpose. "What's the cost of this power?" I asked, my voice firm. Lyra's smile was a whisper of secrets and intrigue. "You'll have to decide that for yourself, Ambrose," she whispered. "But know this, once you've crossed this threshold, there's no going back. The universe will never be the same again." I felt a sense of trepidation as I gazed into her eyes. I knew that I was standing at the edge of a precipice, staring into a void that threatened to consume me. And yet, despite the fear that threatened to overwhelm me, I knew that I couldn't turn back. I had to see this through, had to uncover the secrets that Lyra promised to reveal. For in that moment, I knew that I was staring into the face of destiny, a destiny that would change the course of human history forever. The air seemed to vibrate with anticipation as I stepped forward, Lyra's hand still clutched in mine. The spire loomed before us, its crystalline surface glinting like a beacon of promise. "I'm ready," I said, my voice firm. Lyra's eyes locked onto mine, her gaze piercing. "Then let us begin," she whispered. As we approached the spire, the energy emanating from it grew more intense, the hum of power coursing through my veins like liquid fire. I felt my senses expanding, my perception of the universe shifting like the tectonic plates of a planet undergoing a seismic transformation. The spire began to glow, its crystalline surface crackling with electricity. Lyra's hand in mine seemed to pulse with energy, as if she were channeling the power of the spire itself. I felt myself being drawn into the heart of the crystal, the universe unfolding before me like a tapestry of infinite complexity. I saw threads of probability and causality, the intricate web of relationships that bound the cosmos together. And at the center of it all, I saw the source of power, a blazing nexus of energy that pulsed like a star. "This is it," Lyra whispered, her voice barely audible over the roar of the power. "This is the key to unlocking humanity's true potential." As I gazed into the heart of the nexus, I felt a sense of limitless possibility. I saw visions of humanity's ascendance, of a future where we would transcend the boundaries of space and time. But I also saw the cost of this power, the terrible price that would be exacted from us. I saw the devastation that would be wrought upon the galaxy, the countless civilizations that would be destroyed or enslaved. And I saw Lyra, her eyes blazing with an intensity that bordered on madness. I saw the secrets she had hidden from me, the true purpose behind her plan. Ambrose, she whispered, her voice like a caress, you have a choice to make. You can choose to wield this power to bend the universe to your will. Her words were like a whispered temptation, a siren's call to greatness. But what's the cost? I asked, my voice firm. Lyra's smile was a whispered promise of destruction. The cost is irrelevant, she whispered. What matters is the prize. I felt a sense of revulsion, of horror at the secrets I had uncovered. I knew that I couldn't let Lyra continue down this path, couldn't let her unleash this power upon the galaxy. I won't do it, I said, my voice firm. Lyra's eyes narrowed, her gaze like a cold wind. You're making a mistake, Ambrose, she whispered. A mistake that will cost humanity its future. As she spoke, the energy emanating from the spire began to surge, the power coursing through me like a raging torrent. I felt myself being propelled forward, driven by a force beyond my control. And I knew that I was staring into the abyss, that I was on the cusp of a decision that would change the course of human history forever. The words hung in the air like a challenge, Lyra's gaze piercing through me like a cold wind. I felt the weight of my decision, the burden of responsibility settling upon my shoulders like a mantle. I knew that I couldn't back down, that I had to stand firm against Lyra's sinister plans. As I stood there, frozen in determination, the energy emanating from the spire began to build to a crescendo. The air seemed to vibrate with anticipation, the power coursing through me like a living entity. I felt myself being lifted off the ground, my body suspended in midair as if buffeted by an unseen force. I won't let you do it, Lyra, I whispered, my voice barely audible over the roar of the power. Lyra's eyes flashed with anger, her face twisted into a snarl. You're too late, Ambrose, she spat. The process has already begun. You can't stop it now. As she spoke, the spire began to glow with an intense, blinding light. The energy emanating from it grew more intense, the power coursing through me like a raging torrent. I felt myself being torn apart, my molecular structure disintegrating under the force of the energy. And yet, I refused to give in. I summoned every last ounce of strength, every shred of determination, and focused it on resisting the power of the spire. Slowly, agonizingly slowly, I began to push back against the energy, to assert my dominance over the primal forces that sought to consume me. The air seemed to shudder, the very fabric of reality trembling as I wrestled with the power of the spire. Lyra's eyes were wide with shock, her face pale with fear as she realized that I was not going to give in. And then, in an instant, the energy dissipated. The spire ceased its glowing, the power dissipating like a spent force. I collapsed to the ground, my body weakened, my senses reeling from the sheer intensity of the experience. As I looked up, I saw Lyra standing over me, her eyes blazing with a fierce determination. I knew that she was not going to give up, that she would stop at nothing to achieve her twisted goals. You may have won this battle, Ambrose, she whispered, her voice like a cold wind. But the war is far from over, and next time you will not be so lucky. With that, she turned and vanished, leaving me to ponder the secrets she had revealed, the true nature of her sinister plans. I knew that I had to stop her, to prevent her from unleashing a catastrophe upon the galaxy. But as I stood up, my body still reeling from the experience, I couldn't help but wonder. What other secrets lay hidden in the shadows, waiting to be uncovered?